All right, good morning, guys. Today is February 27th, and the Bible reading for this morning is the first chapter of Joshua. God know I'm still trying to get my emotions together from the last chapter of Deuteronomy, but it's one of those things that God needs us to get our emotions together and to move on. Because it's funny, like in the last chapter when it showed them mourning Moses' death, it said that 30 days was the time that people actually spent mourning. So they did take that time. It was what was their custom. And so now that they've taken that time and we move into Joshua, we see that the first thing that God says is that Moses, my servant, is dead. Therefore, the time has come for you to lead the people of Israel. So it was one of those things that Joshua had already spent so much time with Moses. And Joshua was very well aware of the instruction that God had given Moses. And it's one of those things where God, he didn't say anything else but be courageous and know that every place that you put your foot is a place that I have promised you. And it was one of those things that God wanted Joshua to now walk into that confidence, walk into, into what he had already promised to people with the great confidence that was there and that was available to him and all of the others that chose to call themselves children of God and be a part of this great chosen nation. I was trying to see how many times in this first chapter that God told Moses to Joshua, Lord, I'm gonna keep doing it, huh? Because they done switched over. Now my brain got to switch over. But the main thing that God emphasized not only was to be courageous, but to be obedient. He said to keep my laws and commandments in all that you do. So it was one of those things that these are the two commands: be courageous and be obedient. So, in order to be obedient, they had to know God's word and they had to keep his covenant. One of the things that this chapter, which we hear a lot, it says to meditate on it day and night, right? Because that's the only way that we can even have an opportunity to be obedient is when we spend time studying it and allowing it to get into our spirit, letting it be something that we meditate on both day and night, not taking our days and our time for granted, but knowing that we have to continually acknowledge him and put his word before our thoughts and everything else that we're going through. And it's like you see one of the things, because like with my church we're in Bible study and we're like in the book of John, and I think in the second chapter it was talking about like in the Bible, like on the third day, but 3 days was so important, and it's something that we see throughout scripture, and it's something that we also see in the book of Joshua, because when Joshua was telling the people to get themselves ready to prepare to have provisions, because it was going to be in 3 days that they was going to be able to launch. And I'm gonna just let y'all in on the secret, because then I guess if I confess it today, I gotta let y'all know how I did on the other side of it. But one of the things that I find so powerful is like an actual 3-day fast. And it's one of those things that I haven't completed. I've completed one, but it's almost like I feel like it was for the wrong reasons. So I'm asking God to align my heart with what He wants my heart to be aligned with, to actually walk it out and come on the other side of receiving whatever it is that He has for me, the provision that's going to propel me into the things that He's called me to. So one of the things when Joshua called the people together, the first thing he said was to remember what Moses, the servant of the Lord, said. So even though it seems like Joshua, like as a new leader, is taking on something new, he's really not. It's one of those things where he's building on a foundation that has already been set by the sacrifices of Moses. Actually, having that time with God. So it wasn't like now, okay, Moses, you got to go spend those 40 days and nights and let God tell you everything. No, Moses did that. So now Joshua is just supposed to go and to be courageous because that groundwork has been laid. And one of the things that God kind of impressed upon me this morning is that a lot of us have spiritual altars that we can stand on. And when I say spiritual altars, I mean prayers. It's one of those things that a lot of us had people in our lives that prayed for us, whether it was a family member, it could have been a teacher, it could have been a counselor. It could have been so many people that God strategically placed in your life that He put you on their heart and they begin to have prayers for you. And I believe that prayers are altars because I believe it's things that live on. So a lot of times, people are trying to find their way and figure out things. And it's like sometimes maybe God will give you a glimpse of the altars that have already been established before you by the people who loved and were obedient. There you go to God and actually stopped and took the day time to pray for you. So you're not starting off fresh in your walk with God because remember, God was with you from before you was born and his promises are real. And so he knew the people to place in your life to help you get to where he knew you could be. But it's like, we have to be our part as far as getting the word into us, spending time with him, and even being obedient. And one of the things that I like is that one of the first people that he spoke to was oh Lord, I'm trying to see the particular tribe, but he was talking about one of the tribes. It was the tribes of Reuben and Gad. And they were tribes that had already settled and asked for specific land to be given to them before they actually entered into the promised land. So that was something that was already established for them. Like they weren't going into the promised land to get the land promised to them, they already had it. But now Joshua is coming to them and telling them, listen, you have your land, but I'm going to need your strong soldiers because you guys are going to have to be with us while we go and we get our land. And once we have our land, then you can come back and be with your wives and your children. And this is something that I just find to be so amazing because now, as Joshua is leading, this is the next generation. So that whole generation that just couldn't let Egypt go, like the past go, and they continue to challenge God at every step because it's like God is in our future waiting for us to come toward Him. But sometimes the things of the past have become so heavy that we don't know how to let them go and we don't know how to take our focus off of them. So we're showing God that we don't trust what's ahead of us. But now Joshua is having that new generation, that people who all of that's gone. And these are people that grew up seeing the blessings of God. They grew up out of captivity of Egypt. They grew up seeing a God that provided for them every day, that they never lacked anything, that their bodies were in perfect condition. Because even when we see Moses left us, it said everything about his body. He was in perfect health when he transitioned to be with the ancestors. So these people are seeing a way away from Egypt and all of those things, but now they have the opportunity to walk in the fullness of God when they see the miracles and they see the way that He sustained them. And now they have the law of instruction and they have their instructions to move forward and they're more open to receive it. And you can even see that with the way that they respond to them because in verse 16 it says they answered Joshua, we will do whatever you command us and we will go wherever you send us. We will obey you just as we obeyed Moses. And I feel like that is like the clarion call of the next generation. And it's one of those things where it don't matter where you are in life when it comes to like being a part of that next generation with God. We're able to be a part of that next generation, to put our hearts with the promises of God for us, not for other people, but for what he has for us, but to know that we're going to accomplish things in community. So learn to thank God for the community that's around us, to see if we have and we're able to share, count it all joy. Like if you have to come up, like I had somebody share yesterday in a small group about how they, people don't like to drive because there's no parking and they get to go and pick people up in the morning and they have on their K Love. So it's almost like they get to be a blessing to somebody at the beginning of their day, and they count it all joy. They don't complain like, oh, people want to use me because they don't want to drive. No, God blesses them in so many ways, and I've been blessed by the way He blesses them. So I love to hear the fact that they're using their blessings of God to be a blessing to other people because they know that God is the source of all of their blessings and what they have. So that was something that, I really appreciate how things just start to come together in my life for me. And I just want people to start seeing how things are coming together in their life for them. Again, I still don't really know how to do comments because I'm not getting too many, but I am getting a lot of encouragement like through phone calls and, people just, saying stuff and then people I may never hear from. So I'm going to leave you with the last words of our first chapter of Joshua, which is so be strong and courageous. So I hope you guys are blessed and you get out there and enjoy this Friday. I don't know what day this February 27th is going to fall on for years to come, but that's why I just always say the actual date because it's a Bible reading that can be picked up by anybody at any time and just, run with it. Let it be a word for the day. So I pray that everybody is blessed. Have a good day.